Hola clase, hoy vamos a hacer los números y la canción se llama Entre Palmeras y la banda se llama La Garfield. También Entre Palmeras means between palm trees. So remember, listening to music is a great way to expose your ear to a foreign language. So, vamos a comenzar con una frase. We're going to start with a phrase today. Learning another language is like becoming another person. So, this is really unique in that you have this opportunity to transform yourself. Because what happens is, as you find out and you'll discover as you move forward in learning the language, that at times you might find it difficult to describe certain situations. I remember when I was living with my Spanish family, and if something was really frustrating, sometimes I couldn't find the words to express myself. And man, that was so challenging when I wanted to get my point across. And so there's so many other variables that come into play when learning a language, and that's what's really unique. Is being able to become a new person. So Spanish Bridget is very different than American Bridget and French Bridget and so on. And so it's a real unique opportunity to grow your personality. So vamos a continuar just to try to, keep you in mind with a couple of different things and cultural things. Can you identify the three different foods that you have in front of you? Now, like I said, I don't expect you to know this, but this is why we're here, is to learn. So these are three different foods that are common in different Spanish-speaking countries. And the first one we have is pulpo, which is octopus. Very popular in Spain. They have a very Mediterranean diet. You might find this a lot in tapas. This next one I love, and I ate a lot when I was in South America. It's yuca. And if you're not sure what yuca is, it's similar to a potato. It's a root vegetable. And so, like yuca fries are similar to French fries, they're just more starchier. And the last picture you guys have, this is a common dish in Puerto Rico, and I love the name for it. It helps me remember what it is, and it's mofongo. So mofongo is a popular dish that you would find in Puerto Rico. And I highly encourage you, something that Spanish has also helped me with. I'm a reformed picky eater. It has opened up my palate to so many different new tastes, and I highly encourage that. Even if you're scared to try something, just go for it. You might be really surprised at what it tastes like. So just continuing, I know if you took Spanish 101 with me, we did a lot with capitals and the same thing in the beginning of the first module here. So vamos a practicar un poquito. ¿Cuál es la capital de Panamá? La ciudad de Panamá. La capital de la Dominicana. Santo Domingo. ¿Y la capital de España? Madrid. Vamos a practicar tres más. La capital de Uruguay, Montevideo. Y la capital de Colombia, Bogotá. Excelente. Ok, so vamos a practicar un poquito de vocabulario también, solamente para repaso. We're only doing... Okay, so ¿cómo se dice sister? La hermana. ¿Cómo se dice boring? Aburrido. ¿Cómo se dice grandmother? La abuela. ¿Cómo se dice short? Tall. Bajo, alto. ¿Cómo se dice fun? Divertido. ¿Y cómo se dice notebook? El cuaderno. That one's from last semester, so if you had to reach back to find it, that's okay. Remember, we're building up our foundation. ¿Cómo se dice wedding? La boda. ¿Cómo se dice baptism? El bautizo. Dark hair. Moreno. Pets. Las mascotas. ¿Cómo se dice husband, wife? Esposo, esposa. ¿Y cómo se dice stepsisters? La hermanastras. ¿Y cómo se dice stepmother? La madrastra. ¿Cómo se dice dog? Perro, perro, el perro. ¿Cómo se dice redhead? Pelirrojo. ¿Cómo se dice sloth? Or lazy, actually, if we're talking about adjectives, but they're the same word in Spanish, which is really fun. Perezoso. ¿Cómo se dice twins? Los gemelos. So if you can think of the word Gemini, which means twin, gemelos, that might help you out in remembering that one. Y pienso que yo tengo, ¿cómo se dice grandchildren? Los nietos. Excelente. Okay, so getting to today's lesson, which is los números, right? Hopefully you guys have your cheat sheet and you can fill it in and it'll be helpful for you. So 100 is 100. 101, 101. 200, 200. 300, 300. 400, 400. 500, 500. So actually you see that it follows a pretty nice pattern up until 500. Tres, 300, cuatro, 400. 500 always trips my students up, so just pay extra careful attention to it. 500, and the spelling's a little bit tricky as well. Vamos a continuar. 600, 600. 700, 700, 800, 800, 900, 900, 1,000, 1,000. Right, so for the most part, these kind of follow a pattern, but you have to be aware of a couple that have some spelling changes. So you have 600, which is 600, 700, 700. So this can be tricky for students because if you're used to siete, right, that has the IE in it, but this is 700. So the I is eliminated when you're talking about the hundreds. 800, 800, 900, similar to nueve, but again, there's like a spelling change, 900, and then we have 1,000 for meal. 2,000, 2,000. 1 million, 1 millón. 2 million, 2 millones. So we're going to talk about a couple of the grammatical parts of it, las reglas de los números, the rules of numbers. So for numbers between 100 and 200, you use ciento. Only 100 is 100. Everything after it is 101, 102, 190, right? So only 100 uses 100. The hundreds from 200 to 900 will show gender agreement. So 202 hombres, 202 men. Hombres is a masculine noun, and so 200, the O stays masculine. Now let's say I was talking about mujeres, which is women. 299 mujeres, 299 women. So the O changes to A to agree with the noun. The indefinite article is not used before 1,000. So this is a habit we have to correct when we speak in English, so it can be hard. So I always want to say un mil because we say 1,000, and in Spanish they just say mil, right? So keep that in mind when you're doing this. So incorrecto is un mil, correcto is mil. And then it goes, you don't, like we did with millones, mil say dos mil, tres mil, cuatro mil. It doesn't become plural. So just really small details that can trip you up. So you guys have a list of a couple of different numbers. So what I'd like you to do is write out the number in Spanish. So I'll give you a little bit of time to do that, and then we'll go over las respuestas. We'll go over the answers. So vámonos, 1492. And what I did was break it down for you to make it a little bit easier. 1492. 1492. 1959. 1959. 1776. 1776. Y 2001. 2001. So hopefully by breaking it down, you can see the pattern easier and maybe numbers will become a little bit easier for you. But it comes down to memorization. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. The more you hear it, the more you use it, the more it's going to stick for you. So vamos a continuar un poquito. So our lesson goes just a little bit. This is something we covered last semester too, but how to write the date. So I'm just going to review it very quickly. So for example, May 5th, I use this one as the first example because a lot of times we can remember this date easier than other ones. May 5th in Espanol, al 5 de mayo. So the number always comes before the month. April 9th, al 9 de abril. June 30th, el 30 de junio. If you want to take a second and do the last two. You have el 25 de octubre y el 19 de noviembre. So just a quick reminder that the number always comes before the month in Espanol. So vamos a practicar un poquito más. So al vuelo a Angkor Wat cuesta. So the question's asking, how much does a flight to Angkor Wat cost? I'm not concerned about the Spanish part of this. I want you guys to focus on the Spanish number part of this. So how would you say 3,599 in Espanol? Okay, so 3,599. 3,599. So remember that 500 can get a little bit tricky. ¿Dónde está Angkor Wat? Angkor Wat no es un país hispanohablante, pero está en Cambodia. So Angkor Wat is actually in Cambodia. It is not a Spanish-speaking country, but I still like to show other places you might visit. This is definitely on my bucket list. So, el vuelo a Alemania cuesta. So Alemania, habla alemán en Alemania. So this was a word we had last semester too. So alemán is German. So Alemania would be Germany. So, ¿cómo se dice 645? 645. Okay, al vuelo a Roma. Roma es la capital de Italia. So, how much would it cost to fly to Rome? 837. So, 837. Al vuelo a Longshan. Longshan está en China. Cuesta. So this is the verb costar, which means to cost. When I conjugate it, the O changes to UE. It's a stem changer in the present tense. ¿Cómo se dice 2,925? 2,925. So, practicando un poquito más con los números, ¿hay cuántos países en el mundo? So, how many countries are there in the world? 87, 195, 50, or 118? The last I checked, because sometimes this does change depending on if a new country comes about. For example, Sudan just was broken into two from a civil war, and they have North and South Sudan. So this number does fluctuate. Al número, la respuesta correcta, 195. And you guys just take a guess. I don't expect you to know these answers, but it's just a great way to practice your numbers and learn information and facts. ¿Qué es la población de México? So what is the population of Mexico? 112 millones, 99 millones, 129 millones, or 190 millones? You have nothing to lose here. Let's see how well you guessed. 129 millones, right? So this has grown quite a bit in the last couple of years. Mexico is the only country that has more Spanish speakers than the United States, that has 41 million. ¿Hay cuántas semanas en un año? How many weeks in a year? 42, 62, 52 or 72? 52. Recuerda, en muchos países, en el calendario comienza con lunes, right? So the calendar starts with Monday and ends with Sunday, right? And I think that's really interesting because it makes sense to me, because in the calendar you have the weekend, literally the end of the week, Saturday and Sunday, and it starts with Monday. So those are just some small discrepancies you would see if you traveled abroad. ¿Cuántos años es los Estados Unidos? So how old is the United States? 240, 1776, 400, or 130. So we are 240 años. We're 240 years old. Qué viejo, ¿no? Vámonos. So, ¿cuánto cuesta un vuelo de Toronto a Barcelona? How much, on average, does a flight cost from Toronto to Barcelona? 610, 950, 430 or 715. Normalmente es 600, 610 para practicar. But anywhere from, you can find flights from Toronto to Barcelona anywhere from $300 to $900 if you're going to go during peak season. So it's a great place to check out if you're going to travel abroad, since Toronto is only an hour and a half away from us, and it's an international airport. It oftentimes offers pretty good deals. So if you were thinking about traveling, this is a great possibility for you. So this concludes our lesson for today. I just want to remind you guys to make mistakes, be patient, have that growth mindset. That is where you will grow the most and learn the most. You have to take that risk of sounding foolish when speaking a foreign language. And I know that can be hard to do, but the sooner you rip that Band-Aid off, the more fun you're going to have. So I can't wait for our next lesson. Que tenga buen día. Have a great day. Y nos vemos pronto. Ciao.